as of right now, I am approaching 1 year of entrepreneurship. And I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, but never the traditional way. Like this time, 1 year ago, I decided I'm going to pick a service. I'm going to cold DM. I'm going to cold call. I'm going to do all that stuff and try to make it work the traditional way. And while it didn't result in that way, I've learned a lot, and I learned a lot along the way. So I started this channel as a way to document my copywriting business. And I've switched businesses 3 times, I'm not gonna lie. And I said I wouldn't, but I did. And this time was for a good reason, because things are going really well now, spoiler alert. But with the copywriting, it was really necessary for me to take a year, or really more than a year, to learn the skills of cold call, cold outreach, and also appreciate how difficult it is to get leads, because now I'm using social media. And another thing I said was, I don't want to be the YouTuber that blows up his business or blows up on YouTube and then his business and pretends like it wasn't because of YouTube. Mine was because of my Instagram, 100%. And now I'm doing YouTube for my business on another channel. But the process of finding leads manually like that was super, super valuable, because one, I realized the value of when I get a lead from social media now, I'm like, wow, that used to take me so long, and no one would reach out to me first. And that's all I get now, is people just reaching out to me. And once again, another point for, I really can't stress enough how insane social media is if you're trying to start a business. Like, it is the biggest easy mode in the world right now. And I'm sure it won't last forever, but right now this model is perfect. So if you haven't done it, definitely do it. But the cold outreach thing is really challenging, and it just takes so much volume. And even when I was doing the volume, I was trying to iterate my messaging, and I got a few clients here and there, and I only really had one long-term client. And it was just such a grind. And then once I had to fulfill a lot of things, that took up a lot of time. And I do believe that anyone can make any business work. That is a belief that I have. But at the same time, sometimes I think some people aren't meant to make certain businesses work. And it's not a meant to be sort of thing, but it's like, if you're not super into it, I think it's going to be really tough. And I wasn't super into copywriting. I was just kind of lost and trying to figure out what I should do. And I just found that and decided to try it. But fast forward, about a year later, I decided to sell this AI phone assistant thing. And I have a couple videos about it. Because for all the reasons I said about copywriting, but this one was a lot easier to deliver on. And it was something, the reason I quit copywriting is because a lot of people just didn't really have the urgency or the pain. And I didn't want to be the guy trying to convince everyone I didn't want to spend all of my days trying to convince people that they needed what I was selling. That's, in my opinion, not a good offer. And I probably could have come up with a better offer. But another thing is, I didn't really like copywriting at all, to be honest. Like, I like it for ads, but email copywriting, I wasn't the biggest fan of. And that whole thing started, like I said, because I didn't know what else to do. And so I pivoted to the AI phone assistant, because that's something that solves a real problem. It's people are busy, home service businesses. If you're a roofer, you're busy working on roofs. You don't have time to answer the phone, and people just ask if you do free quotes, whatever. They just ask you the same shit over and over. And people liked that business. And then I was still kind of looking at ways to beef it up, because I don't think it was a strong enough offer on its own. But along the way, what I realized is I really liked the marketing and sales aspect more so than the product and delivery. Because I didn't even care. I was like, I don't care what I'm selling. I just like the marketing and selling. And so I learned that, and it was very valuable for myself. And, I documented it along the way, and I started really liking doing this. And I was like, okay, and, I know how to grow on social media. I was just kind of documenting while I figured out what I was doing. And then, my old boss, a guy I worked for a long time ago, an entrepreneur, he reached out. He liked the AI phone assistant idea. And he was like, hey, let's partner up. I do SEO. I've been doing it for a long time. Obviously, that's part of what I worked for him. He has a bunch of different businesses, but one of which he was doing SEO for. businesses. And so I know he was good, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's partner. And we added the AI phone assistant kind of in one of those packages. But that whole thing, sorry, there's somebody pulling in front of me and they're about to hit me. But so we decided to partner on that, and I got very lucky. And so unfortunately that may not be super useful if you're trying to learn from me of what I did, because I got a little bit lucky that it was someone I worked for a long time ago that knew how to fulfill something that is a true need for business owners, which is SEO. Like, that's a really, a lot of people assume it's kind of scammy because a lot of people don't actually get it to work, but I've seen him do it and it works, and we're getting results for people right now as I speak. But it's something that was very lucky for me, because then I could just focus on marketing and selling. Like, I'm CMO. I don't have to fulfill. And I would like to learn so I know more about it, because, I have a good idea of SEO and things like that from asking him, and I make videos on it based on scripts that he kind of helps me write. But really, it's all I have to do is just promote it all day, get leads, sell the leads. And since starting social media, it's crazy how people, and I'm not even doing content related to SEO on my main like personal Instagram. I just do sales skits and funny things that are related to business, and people just happen to see it and they happen to reach out, and it works really well. And they're, they get on the phone like wanting the service. They're not ready to buy. I still have to kind of follow up with them and things like that, but they're very warm because they've seen me before. And that's really been the unlock. And so 1 year in, it's finally working. We have, I don't know how many clients total, because my partner got a few, but I want to say 6 clients total, maybe 8, but pretty good for, I started this 1 month ago or a month and a half ago. That's really good compared to copywriting. And like I said, it was a little bit easier because I had him, but I'm the one getting the clients, and that was my most difficult thing before. But now that I have all the time in the world to just market and sell, it's a lot easier for me to focus. And so I'm able to make videos. And as soon as I decided, okay, this is what I'm doing, now I'm going to make social media to promote it as opposed to document like on here, which I'm still doing, but on Instagram, that's when, boom, everything just exploded immediately. A bunch of people started reaching out. And it's, it's slow and steady, and you get a ton of unqualified people. And that's kind of the next challenge that I'm working through, is I'm just getting a bunch of people that like either aren't even business owners, which I don't know why you would fill out the form if you don't want a business, but people like that, or just people that SEO is probably not optimal for. Like, a lot of people in e-commerce want to do it, but it's just way too challenging if you don't have a local location. And you're just trying to rank for, I don't know, like flower delivery, but you don't have a location, it's everywhere. That's way too hard. And that's the kind of person where I'm like, I can't help you. Like, you might as well just run ads, sorry. So like e-commerce, it's too much work for us to even be worth it. And I honestly don't think it's that valuable to them, because they would have to spend so much to rank for that they may as well just be running ads. So I get a lot of that kind of thing where I have to be like, hey, sorry, I can't even help you. So that's the next challenge, but I just wanted to update on here because it's finally going really well. Finally kind of got it to work, and it really only took a year. And granted, that's because I already had a lot of skills with knowing how to make content that works. And I spent, a year or two doing the cold outreach and all that. So I kind of understood. I learned so much from that, like learning how to do follow-up sequences, learning the value of leads, learning how to, get people on the phone, crafting just compelling messaging, like really copy, honestly, because everything is copy, but learning how to craft a compelling message for people, get people to take action, learning some sales, things like that. It was all extremely valuable because I had no idea of any of that. Before this, I really just I did stuff like drop shipping and like content and things like that. And it was not really, you didn't really learn the real business stuff, the boring business stuff that the flashy internet business people don't really do. And I think people are catching on now. Like if you see people who do coaching, they're pretty good at a lot of the actual business stuff, like the sales process, the follow-ups, all that. But that's what I learned over that, like the real, how to track your leads and make a pipeline and enter stages and push them through this and sell, and how to close and how to, all that stuff. And it's been really interesting and valuable. And I feel like I actually kind of know what I'm doing a little bit right now, which is crazy to say, because if you watch my first videos, I clearly had no idea. But I did want to emphasize that I have a lot of experience just in the space of kind of the entrepreneurial space, but not as much the business space, if that makes sense. Like I was never doing anything traditional business related, whereas now it's like, that's what I'm really trying to do. And I'm combining my knowledge from before of like social media and the kind of cool internet business stuff that I tried before. I'm combining that with a boring traditional business. And I think that's what's cool, and it kind of sets us apart, because you probably don't know a ton of people doing SEO and there are people, but not a lot of people that do it kind of the way that we're doing it right now. I'm trying to bring something different to the table. And yeah, so that's really what's worked for me. Hopefully that's useful for somebody. I know, like I said, content is a skill. It takes a long time to get good at it, but really for that, if you just post every day and you don't try to make it salesy, I mean, you want to be upfront about it, of course, but don't just make it like an ad. Like make something people actually want to watch, and then you can promote your stuff or whatever. But that's the skill, is learning how to create something that people want to see. And these videos are not that. So don't take these as an example. These videos are absolutely like the worst example of what to do on social media. This is just kind of a side thing that I want to do to document for myself, and for if anyone's watching it. It's long-term lead nurture. And if this thing goes really well, I think it would be really cool, personally, just to have somebody who has like their whole journey documented. But don't take this. Go to my Instagram, copy all my stuff. Don't care. But that's the way, in my opinion, everything went so rapid since then. And I think it would have been easier if I was selling through like cold DM, cold call, selling SEO, because I knew somebody could fulfill it. Somebody was good. I didn't have to worry about fulfilling, because it just made the sales process a lot harder, because I didn't even really know. With copywriting, it was kind of like, I'm just kind of making it up on the fly. Like I didn't have like a set package. I didn't know how to make an offer. Just so much stuff that I had to learn. So really the point of this whole thing is, if you haven't started, start. And I've had to pinch myself the last month and be like, this is finally working. And this is something I've wanted for so long. And I'm finally actually like making money with a business, and it's not a ton, but it's enough. And it's like, this is all I wanted. Before was like, I wanted to just make enough. And obviously I have big ambitions. I want to get to $1 million a month at some point in my life, but I really, step one was just like make livable income, and we're getting really close to that. And so it's like, this is everything I wanted, and it's pretty crazy. It's nothing, no crazy numbers, but like, I think most people, if you could live off your own business, that's like a dream come true. And I feel very blessed that I've had that opportunity. And it's been a lot of trial and error, because I've been doing this stuff since I was literally 11 years old. So like, this isn't like it only took 1 year kind of thing, but 1 year since documenting and since trying to go the traditional real business route, not the flashy internet stuff. Because I think that's the right way. The boring businesses are the longest standing things. People are always going to need roofers and whatever. And if I can find something boring that serves the other boring businesses, in my opinion, that is the best way. Anyway, I want to have a deliverable, something specific, and make sure I can fulfill. And like I said, I was lucky to have a partner that can deal with that, so I can just market and sell. But overall, if you're a business owner, do social media. It's insane how many leads you get. And yeah, I'll see you guys when it's livable, probably, because this is pretty crazy that it's working, and it's fun. This is like my favorite thing ever. I just get to take calls all day and tell people how good we are. So that's pretty much the new thing. Do that and make videos. It's awesome. But anyway, I'm gonna go to the gym. I'll see y'all later.